Good day, everyone. For today's lesson is all about how individuals learn about culture and become members of society. According to John Locke, a British Enlightenment philosopher, that a human mind at birth is nothing but a blank slate or tabula rasa, which means as a child grows, various experiences imprint knowledge on his or her mind. And for him, the human mind acquires information about the outside world through the senses, and this information molds and defines a person's awareness and view of the outside world. John Locke definitely did not believe that the human mind has innate conceptions. So, throughout a person's life, simple ideas are integrated with more complex ones, and this define his or her political, economic, and social affairs. In this lesson, Becoming a Member of Society, these are the topics that we are going to discuss. First, socialization and enculturation. Second, agents of socialization and enculturation. Third, conformity, deviance, and social control. And for the last one, human dignity and human rights. Now, let's talk about socialization. It is the lifelong process of social interaction through which people acquire their identities and necessary survival skills in society. It prepares new members of society and trains them to think, feel, and act in an appropriate ways. This socialization is considered the central process of social life. Examples are in the first week of this school year, we have orientation for the new and old student about the rules and regulation of the school. Another example is attendance in Sunday school for Christian church, also catechism for Catholics, and the recruitment process for political parties. This process of socialization enables us to gradually become self-aware and knowledgeable human being and learn the ways, values, rules, and culture of the society we belong. Socialization is also important in politics, and a citizen develops and acquires political ideas, values, attitudes, beliefs, and opinions through political socialization. It is a process which enables the development of citizens to function effectively within a particular political system. As the field of sociology developed over time, socialization was increasingly viewed in different contexts. First is, as functionalists, they viewed socialization in the context of internalization, which refers to the process of accepting the social norms, attitudes, rules, and values translated by people and social groups within society as one's own. Functionalists explain that if people failed to play their expected roles or behave strangely, there is incomplete or inadequate socialization. This means the members of society have not yet fully acquired and learned what is expected of them. For interpretivist sociologists, they view socialization as an interactive process between individuals and other members of society. This view gives importance to the independence of the individuals and their capacity to define their own personal views and ideas. Example, the changing definition of the family decades ago. Single-parent families, especially an unwed mother and her child, not conform to the conventional or typical definition of family and was frowned upon by society. However, the increase of this kind of family over the next few years led to a gradual acceptance of single-parent families at present. This time, na-normalize na siya kay as much as we want to have a complete family na amanjoy taong kumbaga there's something wrong in his or her socialization process, ana na lang. Okay? For sociologist William Wentworth, he proposed a synthesized view of socialization, which considers how factors such as free will, human autonomy, and social structures and processes influence socialization. This view combines the perspective of functionalism and interpretivism and incorporating them in the analysis of other aspects of social life. Wentworth believes that socialization is a two-way process between the individual and the larger groups in society, such as social organizations and institutions. This synthesized view identifies three significant aspects of socializations. These are social context, content and process, and results. Social context refers to the particular circumstances of society and consists of its culture, language, and the social structures that define social class, social ethnicity, and gender. Content and process. Content refers to ideas, beliefs, behavior, and other information that are passed on by members of society to the individuals. And the process refers to the methods or ways of interaction that enable the content to be given to the person undergoing socialization. And for the last significant aspect is the result. It refers to the outcomes of socialization that are evident when individuals begin to practice the behaviors, attitudes, and values to function effectively as its members. Example of a result is the ability of an individual to speak in his or her native language and understand and comply with the basic rules and norms in his or her community. Another view of socialization, according to anthropologists, in terms of becoming familiar with one's own culture, and they use the term enculturation. It is the process of being socialized into a specific culture or a process of adapting the behavior patterns of the culture he lives in. Through this enculturation, individuals learn cultural symbols, norms, values, and language by observing and interacting with family, friends, teachers, and the rest of society. Concrete example of enculturation is learning the local language or dialect. The difference between socialization and enculturation. Socialization is basically the process of learning to behave in a way that is acceptable to society, while enculturation, it is the process of being socialized into a certain culture. Now, let's proceed to the agents of socialization and enculturation. The most prominent agents are the following: family, schools, religion and the state, peer groups, mass media, and major social and historical events. These are the social groups that people come in contact and interact with throughout their lives. The family is the primary agent of socialization of an individual upon birth, throughout infancy and up to childhood. The school have a critical and active role in socialization as their various academic and social activities mold students' beliefs, values, and attitudes. Religion and the state both are considered as the ultimate source of authority. Religion exerts a great influence on the views of a person, and the state, by the way, state is defined as a nation or territory considered as an organized political community under one government. And the state's response to religion is fairly complex. In democratic states, like our country, the separation of church and state is guaranteed. Since we are under democratic states, our rules will vary, no, depending on our religion. Like if for other religion, polygamy is okay, no, kanang daghan og wives, but in Christian, it's not allowed. Peer groups refers to people who share the same interest or characteristics such as age and social background. For instance, children going to school form groups with other children of their age. Through interaction, these children develop habits such as sharing toys, food, playing games, and doing schoolwork. By having a peer group, a child attains a sense of belongingness and a shared identity with other members of the group because of mutual support, shared activities, and common interest. Mass media includes forms of communication such as books, magazines, newspapers, other print materials, radio, television, and movies. It is a powerful agent of socialization which is widely used by many institutions and organizations. As well as the electronic communication. Yes, this time no, because of the pandemic, grabe na kaayo og influence ang social media. The last one is the major social and historical events. This can be significant socializing forces for the entire generation. The changes and development brought about by historical events often cause transformations in the values, attitudes, and views that define societies. Now, let's proceed to the third topic, which is conformity, deviance, and social control. Conformity has three types. These are compliance, identification, and internalization or acceptance. Conformity refers to the process of altering one's thoughts and actions to adapt to the accepted behavior within his or her group of society. Examples: driving on the right side of the road, crossing on the pedestrian lines, respect elders. And the first type of conformity is compliance. It refers to the outward conformity to social pressure but privately disagreeing with it. Example, listening to the same music as your friends even though you don't really like it. Another example, based sa story no, the akong former nga students wherein his family kay a family of seafarers. Dili niya top priority ang maging seaman, but then since mao may gusto no or yahang two brothers kay nagseaman and his parents ganahan sad nga magseaman siya, so ni comply na lang siya even though ganahan jud siya mag nursing. Second type of conformity is identification. It refers to the individual adopting a certain behavior because it enables him or her to have satisfying relationship with the members of his or her group. Example, a person may decide to become a vegetarian because all of his new flatmates are vegetarian, but whenever he or she is alone, he can't resist eating meat. And the last type of Conformity is internalization or acceptance. It involves both public compliance and internal acceptance of the norms and standards imposed by the group. Example, a Muslim influenced by his Christian friends converts to his or her faith, and he will continue to practice it even without the presence of his friends. Or vice versa, a Christian influenced by his Muslim friends converts to his or her faith and will continue to practice his faith even without the presence of his friends. Next is deviance. Deviance is defined as a behavior that elicits a strong negative reaction from group members and involves that violate commonly held social norms. Deviance varies depending on the context of the group. What may be considered normal behavior in one culture may be considered deviant behavior in others. Next is social control. It is defined as any systematic means and practices used to maintain norms, rules, and laws, regulate conflict, and discourage deviant behaviors. Sanctions are the most common means of social control and are often employed to address conflicts and violation of social norms. And we have two types of sanctions. These are formal and informal sanctions. Formal sanctions are those provided for by laws and other regulations in society. Example, if you commit crime, it leads on imprisonment. And for informal sanctions, these are commonly imposed informally by smaller societies or groups. Example, shame, ridicule, sarcasm, criticism, and disapproval. Informal sanction won't lead you to imprisonment, pero matrending sad ka. And we are down to our last topic, which is human dignity and human rights. Human dignity refers to the idea that a person has the innate right to be valued, respected, and treated well. And on the other hand, human rights are legal, social, and ethical principles that consider the human person as deserving of liberties and protection by virtue of his or her human dignity. These human dignity and human rights are significant concerns when dealing with socialization and issues on deviance and social control. Human rights are founded on natural rights, which are universal and cannot be taken away from us and are not contingent on laws, customs, beliefs, or values of a particular culture. Example of these rights are the right to life and freedom. Human rights are considered to have the following characteristics. First, human right is universal because they belong to all human beings regardless of race, religion, gender, and others. Human right is fundamental since they cannot be taken away from any human being. They are indivisible as various rights are interrelated and given equal importance. Lastly, human right is absolute since they cannot be qualified and are considered basic necessities for living a genuine life. A major legal instrument that upholds the recognition of human rights is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, or UDHR, which was drafted by the United Nations Commission on Human Rights in 1948. And the explanation of all the articles under UDHR is your task, which is your performance task B1. And that ends our lesson for today.